Okay, so we're super thrilled to have this finally happen. It's been roughly like a year in the making, from conceptualizing the whole topic of rethinking tourism, in particular in the context of, let's say, the current situation of the crisis, but also different types of crises in general that have been occurring over time. Initially, as any other event, obviously we've been planning to do this in physical form, in a very nice space as part of our university program. But we've thought that the topic cannot wait to be discussed any later. I think particularly now that we're very much in the situation of a quite visible transition from how we organize ourselves to how we think about the future and how we relate to one another. I think it's a super important topic to tackle right now. And I hope that also by streaming this virally on different platforms right now, that we can also reach a different type of audience that we otherwise would not have in a let's say architectural or technical university. Without talking about too many topics that we'll anyway discuss now in the next hours, I think it would be great to start with Tina Gregoric, who's the professor and chair at the Institute of Architecture at TU Vienna, at the research unit for architectural typology and design. I'm also working there, so we're colleagues, and I've known Tina for quite some time now. We've been working on this topic together, also with Alyosha De Kleva, who's her partner in life and in office. Since a very long time. So I'm really thrilled that we're all doing this together now and having this discussion. Also with having different inputs from other people that we've met along our research journey in the last years, as well as people that we've met also recently during exhibitions or symposia and so on. So more on that also later when I'll introduce the separate speakers individually. But for now, maybe a short introduction by Tina.
Thank you so much, Jakob. I'll try to share the screen now. Is this okay? Do you see the screen, Jakob? Okay. So yeah, officially, I would like to warmly welcome you. So all the speakers who you were so kindly to accept this invitation to share your knowledge on possible relevant futures of tourism today in our symposium titled Rethinking Tourism for a Planet in Crisis. A warm welcome also to the audience, either via YouTube channel, which is now live, or later on, whenever it is going to stay there. I will try my best to be concise within the introduction together with Jakob, but it's really important to somehow specify certain backgrounds to understand why are we doing the Rethinking Tourism Symposiums in several years now. Okay, so now I need to get to the next slide. Okay. So in 2014, when I was appointed the chair of the department, as Jakob mentioned, here at the TU Vienna, I decided to continue with the team here to do the design research on responsible participatory tourism. So after two extremely successful symposiums in 2014 and 2015, we started together with Jakob a year ago preparing this third one, as we were feeling that it's really urgent to do the third one from the perspective of climate crisis. Of course, today, when we are realizing this symposium, it's actually a different reality, no? With this COVID-19, we have encountered this extended urgency, but I also think we were given a unique opportunity to somehow at least discuss and then potentially really redefine the tourism, because it would never be the same state as it is today. So just to somehow outline a little bit the topic, we were sure that for decades all over the world, diverse experts and residents and cities and their mayors have been advocating alternatives to the devastating impacts of over-tourism on their local territories, societies, economies, and global climate. And this Rethinking Tourism for a Planet in Crisis Symposium opens up a cross-disciplinary discourse on the possible futures of responsible tourism. So as COVID-19 pandemic radically hits global tourism and the immediate environmental benefits become so evident, it is the unique opportunity to demand immediate response and fundamental redefinition of the role of tourism worldwide. And we would like to see how is this possible today. So is there anything that the design can do in fighting pandemic in regards to the tourism? So we will be discussing the positions on tourism from diverse pool of experts and curators, architects, philosophers, and designers with different backgrounds and geographical position. So many of today's speakers I had the opportunity to intensely collaborate with, as Jakob, Alyosha, and also a little bit Ivana, and some others I was fortunate to meet and discuss tourism live, and some I just met a couple of minutes ago through the screen. So today we will be having, I will introduce all the speakers somehow, just to somehow understand what kind of variety of positions will be presented today. So Jakob Travnik will shortly after me kind of focus on his position of rethinking tourism for planet in crisis. He's university assistant and PhD candidate here at the TU Vienna. Then we will hear the lecture Welcome to My Home, Urban-Rural Relations from John Takara, who is French-based, in France-based writer, advisor, and bioregional designer. We're really looking forward to your position. And continuing after him in this kind of first panel, we will continue with Fiona Harper, who is the director of Open City London, UK, and chief curator of 2019 Oslo Architecture Triennale Norway, which happened last year. And after that, we continue with Alyosha Kleva, who is the program head of AA Nanotourism Visiting School in collaboration with Architectural Association in London, based in UK, and co-founder of the Gregoric Architects. And after that, we go to Zagreb with Ivana and the design collective OASA to somehow speak about their position is in alternative production systems. The second panel is going to be introducing Timothy Morton, Maria Finders, Dean McCannell, and concluding with myself. So these are the diverse positions of 8 speakers, which we will be hearing shortly. And just a glimpse of the history in order to understand why Jakob, Alyosha, and me are so involved in the last 6 years in kind of rethinking the tourism. So the term nanotourism has been introduced in 2014 as a reaction to potentials and frustrations of tourism that was actually doing this devastation in terms of spatial, social, and economical realities. And we asked ourselves, could we, after decades of booming tourism industry, with these wide impacts on territories all over the world, seek for smaller scale, non-intrusive ways of promoting tourism? So is there any alternative, and what kind of alternative? So together with Alyosha Dekleva, we initiated the topic and term as a possible vital alternative to current downsides of conventional tourism, with a clear ambition for research, comprehensible definition, and possible responses. We were frustrated from the destroyment of the cultural as well as natural heritage. And we were at the same time thinking about the fact that for sure there are existing formats of participatory and responsible tourism, either from simplicity of agrotourism, reconnected with the countryside and food production, to the complexity of activism tourism, as in this case, protests to save trees. So nanotourism was then established as this kind of twofold design research initiative. It was defined as new constructed term describing a creative critique to the current environmental, social, and economic downsides of conventional tourism as a participatory, locally oriented, and bottom-up alternative. And then, of course, here it's a short diagram. I won't get in detail, but this is a diagram, research diagram, which is showing how we have been together with a big research team in BO50 in 2014, researching the existing formats of nanotourism, even though it was not called like that, and how we were trying to promote and create new possibilities in order to somehow share site-specific novel initiatives in different parts of the world. We try to define characteristics here in the middle of nanotourism through being critical, participatory, site-specific, responsible, inventive as some of the characteristics of that. We have learned tremendously from the existing examples, let's say from the sheep olive oil raffinery in the Adriatic to temporary hotel structures created from the city waste in Mannheim, Germany. So it was like a huge pool of existing practices that they have been advocating very similar positions. And here we wanted to show that how collaboration among disciplines and with local community became the key of this nanotouristic strategy in order to involve as much as possible the local community and the local economy. Of course, parallelly to that, we realized that the term tourist has been increasingly used pejoratively to imply this kind of shallow interest in the cultures or environments. And obviously no one wants to be a tourist anymore. Everyone wants to be someone else, either a traveler, passenger, guest, maybe just to be allowed in this exhibition as here, which was in Venice Biennale, an off project. And of course, therefore, we wanted, instead of this superficial one-way observation where one participates, where one doesn't participate, promote something that it's an exchange. So the participation between the nanotourism provider and the nanotourism. So it's two-way relationship occurring. What was really an important call, which we asked all the team members of BO50, which OASA was one of the most important ones at that time, we somehow wanted to challenge the definition of tourist and tourism, which is defined with the distance from home and time spent away from home. So we asked our research team to somehow promote new nanotourism experiences and design them in order to involve, participate, and become a nanotourist everywhere, even in your own city, town, street, or home. Of course, that was in 2014. I think now in this pandemic weeks, we all became somehow exploring either our home streets or our cities. So just to somehow to conclude with this really important and widespread team of researchers, designers, we were somehow luckily awarded the Best Collaboration Award by Alice Rostro and Konstantin Gercic and Sasha Mihtik, which they said that by integrating local communities, boosting local economies, and aiming beyond the duration of the biennial, with our design research process, we somehow managed to show the highest possible biennial honor. And although we were wishing to get the grant to prolong our projects that we initiated through Biennale, the award was actually not going into that direction. But luckily we have Oasa, who has been involved in the next 6 years, continuing working on the projects that they initiated through that Biennale, which is, I think, extremely amazing, and we will hear about that. And of course, we then after that established 2 intense platforms, or AA Visiting School Nanotourism was going alongside Biennale and was part of Biennale, BO50, and then continuing on TUV. So basically, just to conclude, this is my last slide. So after 6 years, together with new members of our operative team, Amanda and Jakob have been able to revive nanotourism.org, this open research platform where we are really now extremely actively seeking to expand it, to incorporate more existing nanotourism experiences, and then create through wider collaboration with different institutions a set of new nanotouristic experiences. So that would be my base in order to somehow understand where and why are we doing that. And of course, more on nanotourism will be said by 3 speakers later today.